Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Planet Council podcast. I, as always, am Sean Monk.
And I'm TJ Cornwell.
All right, so welcome to the Planet Council podcast. So with that, let's go ahead and get right into it here. What's been going on in your world this week? Either Star Wars related or not Star Wars related. You do anything fun or?
Star Wars related? Nothing. I mean, other than seeing Empire, what was it, 2 weeks ago, I think, at the drive-in, which you missed. So sorry about that. It said through the weekend. I don't know what to tell you.
It did. Yeah. So for those who don't know, I think we talked about it on the Planet Film podcast last week. TJ went to our local drive-in to watch. They had a double feature of Empire and Spaceballs playing. And I still, over 2 weeks later, I'm still waiting on my test results for my COVID-19 test. So I have been stuck in the house, but my first thing that I was going to do was go to the drive-in to see Empire today. Actually, it was supposed to be tonight. And because their website said that it was playing through the weekend, literally said playing Friday to Sunday, and it had it listed there. And then the other night, TJ, we were on, I was streaming a game. We were talking in the Discord chat. He was like, I think you got to check the drive-in site again. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, it's gone. It's not there anymore.
Oops.
Yep.
Disney, man. They don't want you to have the good stuff.
Nope. Well, that's why I'm hoping, I'm hoping, because I mean, we're not going to talk a lot about this just because we're going to talk about it more on the Planet Film this week. But, they're talking 2021 now until movie theaters get going again. So if that's the case, well, I'll say one positive on here. If that's the case, hopefully Disney opens up some more of these classics for places like drive-ins to play. But then again, California closed all the drive-ins. So if things are continuing, it's kind of a double-edged sword. If things continue to be this bad, the drive-ins will probably close too. Yeah. So, but one can hope, I guess. So that's been our Star Wars event. Oh no, sorry, I did have another Star Wars. I almost said Star Wars adventure. Copyright the Force Center podcast. That's what they call it there. I was just listening to an episode of Force Center this morning. So sorry, Ken Knapsack and Joseph Scrimshaw. We're not trying to step on your toes. My Star Wars in real life goings on, I'll call it. Yesterday, I downloaded the game VR Chat because one of my friends was playing that. Yeah. And so I was going around in VR, and they have a cinema in that. The way the VR Chat works is that it's all these portals that you walk through, and it takes you to different things. And they have a cinema there that I'm pretty sure is just playing pirated movies. Cause I don't know, the game is free, but I just went in there and somebody was watching Clone Wars. So I sat down and I don't have a VR headset. I was just doing it on my monitor, but I was in VR world. The avatar I chose was, funnily enough, was Anakin from Clone Wars. And I walk into this theater and they're watching season 7 of the Clone Wars. So I sat down and I watched.
It was the entire episode.
It was the whole season. They had the entire show on there. No, and they had the Disney Plus logo and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just sat there and I watched the first 2 episodes of the Bad Batch arc in VR. So yeah, that was interesting.
I'm surprised. That.
Oh, dude, we watched after that. We watched It. I watched almost the entirety of It, Chapter 1. After that,
you get to pick or just random things.
No, you get to pick. Yeah. You need to install that. Maybe we'll stream
I will download it. And
see maybe it's completely free. The game's completely free.
Like, I don't have VR. Why would I get this?
No, exactly. You don't need VR. It's basically just a game that you walk around and do crap. But there's mini games and then that cinema thing. I was just like, oh, there's a cinema world, because it's very basic, in the menu. There's a little apartment that you spawn in, basically, that's your home base, and on one of the portals you can choose like where you want to go, and it said like watch a movie, and I was like, I clicked that. I stepped through, and all of a sudden I was in front of this big wall that was like, pick the movie you want, or head into this room. So I headed in this room, and they were already watching The Bad Batch, and I was like, okay. So yeah, so that was not a real life Star Wars.
That's funny.
Goings on, but yeah, I almost completely forgot about that. But yeah, you got to install that. We'll do that probably later or something. I'll stream it or something. Well, I don't think I can stream it.
You can't stream
it. Yeah, because it's that would be illegal. But anyways, yeah. So that was kind of a weird thing that I did this week. I guess that's close to the drive-in. Maybe they have Empire. Maybe I can just watch it in VR chat, and I'll get the same experience. With that, let's go ahead and get on with the show here. So believe it or not, this is already our 5th episode of the Planet Council show. Would have been our 6th, but we took the 4th of July off because I was a little under the weather and we were doing 4th of July stuff. So let's go ahead and get right into Planet Council episode 5, starting off, unlike the last couple shows, we actually do have some Star Wars news and rumor mill going on this week. So first off, news-wise, with the drive-in re-release of Empire, Empire Strikes Back was actually the #1 movie at the domestic box office for the first time in, I believe, hang on, let me get this, because it's it says here leads weekend box office 23 years after reissue, so they're talking about the special edition re-release in '97. But I don't know if it hit #1 in '97. It might have. But regardless, it's definitely the first time it's been #1 in over 20 years. Possibly 40 years, but definitely over 20 years. What are your thoughts on that? Like we just talked about, you went and saw it. Just crazy times we're living in. That a movie from 1980. I mean, granted, one of the best movies of all time in a lot of people's opinion. Best Star Wars movie in a ton of people's opinions is the #1 movie at the box office.
It was definitely cool to see. I've never seen it in like a theater setting, even though it wasn't like in the theater. But I mean it's a great movie, and it also did not have much to compete with. Like it's not like we had Tenet at the drive-through and Wonder Woman for it to go up against. I mean, it's cool, and I think whenever Disney puts this any Star original trilogy or type this isn't vaulted but vaulted movie out, they're gonna see a decent return. I'd have to imagine they're never not gonna make oh, we only made $50,000 when we put this back out,
So let me put this to you, okay? Because I just pulled up Box Office Mojo here. Oh God, I hate
the new layout.
What they did to this site. Hang on, let me pull up, because there's a thing that says latest weekend, but they're not ranked. So I'm like, is that the top 5 or is that just 5 random movies that came out? Let me see if I can find the top 5. Okay, that doesn't help me. Let me go back to the main thing. Okay, so I don't know if this is the top 5. I'm assuming it is, only because this layout doesn't have numbers. Okay, here we go. I got it. So #1, Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. So we have $611,000 it made. That was #1 at the box office. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Now, #2 at the box office, which was not playing at our drive-in, but was playing at select drive-ins across the states, was Black Panther.
They had that.
Oh, they did have Black Panther. Okay.
It was one of the later movies.
Okay. Yeah. And I know this upcoming week, they're going to be showing Iron Man. So with the MCU seeing success here, I know this is not an MCU show, but with the amount of money that Star Wars made, and the amount of money that Black Panther made, almost $400,000 in one weekend. Do you think, and we're talking about legacy releases from Disney, real quick, do you think that they could use this to beef up the Avatar versus Endgame debate again? To re-release those and try to push one or the other more over the edge?
Well, it already beat it, didn't it?
It did, yeah, but they could re-release Avatar and have Avatar beat it, and then force themselves to re-release Endgame to try and one-up themselves again. Because I mean, these are not. Yeah, do you think they're going to do that? Because these are not small numbers here.
I don't think.
You don't think so? You think they're just going to settle with the record?
I honestly, if we're being honest, I don't really think they care that much.
I don't know. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, but yeah.
Well, let me say this. What would I be more like, me being, a consumer? If they put out Avatar Endgame on the same night, one night only, and I could go see one of them again, I'd go see Endgame. Like, I could give two. I don't want to swear. I could give two shits about Avatar. Like,
I don't want to swear.
I could. When did that come out? Like 2000 what?
2009.
Yeah. Where's the sequel?
Hey man, it's coming. Listen.
I've seen Avatar once when I was younger, and that's like, I don't know. It was a good movie, but like, okay, sorry, we're getting into like, does Avatar need a sequel or anything? But no, I don't think they'll do that.
Okay. Yeah, I think honestly, so we can have differing opinions. My opinion, I think Disney will do anything to be in the headlines. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. Fair. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, to have a little interpersonal competition. And at the end of the day, it's Disney making money. If it's two Disney movies competing,
yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
All right. So second news topic here this week, or more rumor mill topic, I'll say, for the next two news pieces. But this is going to be a big one here. Hayden Christensen rumored to finally return in the Kenobi Disney Plus show. So this is being reported as a possible series regular role. So not just a cameo as previously thought of, maybe like Obi-Wan would have like a vision of him and it would be Hayden or something.
Yeah.
Clearly, obviously, because at this point he would be Darth Vader, unless they're doing flashbacks and stuff, which they might. This would be, kind of, we already hear rumblings that the show is going to deal a lot with Obi-Wan's trauma and kind of PTSD of what happened with Anakin and stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on Hayden Christensen returning for the show? And what are your thoughts on what's kind of seeming to be, this is going to be a kind of haunting Obi-Wan, kind of like Anakin's always with him in his mind type of role. What do you think?
I think it really be, I would love to see him like play that character again. As long as, he's probably like, as long as George doesn't direct to me, then I'll come back. No, I'm just kidding. But
well, I'm sure I'm sure he loves George, but I'm sure he is excited to. I mean, he's probably watched I think, in fact, in an interview, Hayden Christensen said he did watch The Mandalorian, so I'm sure he's pumped for the opportunity to work with Deborah Chow.
If you look at like I was looking at his IMDb the other day because I was watching some other show that had brought this up, and he really hasn't done any. I feel like he hasn't done anything after like those two movies, like after the prequels. Like he hasn't really been in like, well, he was in like those movies kind of not ruined his acting career, but set it down like a completely different path. Like you think after being in two Star Wars movies, you get like offers like more than you know what to do with.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, because Deborah Chow's like directing the entire thing, correct?
Yeah.
So that could be like a good, like, palate cleanser. He might be like, oh, well, if I'm with a director that actually knows how to direct me as an actor, then, because I feel like everybody always says George Lucas isn't much of a people person. Like he's not the actor's director.
Yeah. More specifically, not much of an actor's person.
Yeah.
that's what they hear. It's what Carrie would always say in her. George would be give me faster and more intense, just a little more intensity on that one. I think Harrison that was like, you can type this shit, but you can't say it. And it's like, we love you, George.
When he comes back, though, I think you kind of alluded to it there, is like you can't like bring him back and just put him in a suit, or like exactly, you can't be like.
And granted, he was in the suit in Revenge of the Sith, so I mean, you could do that. Like if you already have him on set, you could do that. You could have him do both. I mean, I don't know if he wants to take that on, because I mean, if Vader does appear in the show, like that's a lot to try to have to deal with bringing back the character of Anakin. You know, it's been 15 years since he's played Anakin, trying to pull that up, and then also you have to get kind of the physicality back going to be Vader.
Yeah. Also, you'd have to pull James Earl Jones back into the booth. Yeah,
you got to get him. It's going. You know, this is everything must go sale on him. It's I think he's like
late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I think so, like 88, 87, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think at a certain point we're just going to have to face the facts that they're going to have to find somebody that can play Vader that's not James. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Force Unleashed, tons of other stuff, video games, audiobooks, stuff like that. There have been great voice actors who have canonically played Vader. Obviously, it helps that in the television shows, it's always been James Earl Jones in Rebels and just Rebels, because that's the only TV show that Vader's in. But it's he for all 3 seasons of that show that Vader appears in. It's every appearance is James Earl Jones. So, and then obviously Rogue One and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, if they want to still kind of, and I'm trying to refrain from using the word like milk this character, but if they still want to use this character going forward, they're going to have to start thinking of what to do for the voice. Because I mean, it's like, obviously you can get anybody to do the suit. There's been, I think, 4 different people, maybe 5 different people that have played him in the suit. But I mean, that voice is just so iconic. You gotta either get a look-alike or somebody or a sound-alike or someone that's able to do it.
I could see the show being like half like Vision type thing, where that's where Hayden Christensen would be, and then half like, you know, right, like between the 3rd movie, the 4th movie, like him
flashback. You mean?
Yeah. No, wait. Because this is taking place right after the 3rd, right? The 3rd movie.
It's like 10 years after the 3rd.
I mean, like during that, like where it's just Obi-Wan, but then like there's like flashbacks, like you said, of like Obi-Wan and Anakin.
So you think we might get some maybe? So this is what I'll say.
Yeah,
I think the majority of the appearance, if it is a series regular, and of course take everything with this with a grain of salt here. This is just industry reporting. As of right now, nothing is confirmed by Lucasfilm. I mean, hell, half the cast of Mando season 2 isn't confirmed by Lucasfilm, and the show comes out in like less than 90 days.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be a long, long while until we get anything confirmed on this. But I mean, just if we're talking broadly, the steam behind getting Hayden back into Star Wars has been growing and growing and growing and growing over the past like 3 or 4 years.
Because
let's say
fans now have a new trilogy to shit all over.
Exactly. No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and you did get him. I mean, he did reprise the character. I mean, if you look, I believe it's him and Kanan have the most lines in Rise of Skywalker for the
missed
voiceover.
Opportunity.
I know, missed opportunity, but like, I mean, it wasn't like he just came in and was like, Rey, you know, like he had full lines of dialogue.
Yeah. So,
you know, you got to imagine that was probably at least a couple of hours in a booth with JJ where he had to kind of get that mind space going again. And you see, you know, like we talked about, I think on this show in Planet Film, a couple of years back, he made his return to Star Wars Celebration in a big way, had a huge panel. Tons of the fans were so going nuts to finally be able to see him at a celebration. And then also he had that recent trip to Disney World with his daughter, which was awesome. Yeah, it was those pictures that came out when he was like building a lightsaber. He went to Galaxy's Edge with his daughter. It was real cool because it was that story that came out where it was like Disney made Hayden pay for his own lightsaber.
Oh,
yeah, and it was like I don't know if that's really true, but that's like, pretty funny. If like Hayden Christensen gets to the checkout and they're like, that'll be $249.95. It's like that's me on the wall. This is my lightsaber. No, but I'm sorry. Okay. Hayden Lucasfilm relationship aside, what I think him in the show is going to be, if we're talking series regular, I think clearly the most abundant role that he'll be playing is the kind of Spectre, always with Obi-Wan type thing. Kind of not necessarily. I don't think it'll be a Force Ghost. Well, not a Force Ghost, obviously, because he's not dead. I think if they want to tie it into canon too, I mean, you really don't have to tie this into canon, but I think it's going to be more along the lines of Han Solo in Rise of Skywalker, where it's a memory, or it's more of a memory. It's a Force. What do you want to call it? Like a Force manifestation, as opposed to a Force Ghost.
And they set that up already, so it's kind of like
exactly. I think that would be the best thing, and like it would make sense. It's kind of like Obi-Wan's all by himself. Anakin argues with him, and he's like, "You're not even real. You're just in my head." And he's like, "Why does that mean? What I have to say doesn't matter?" Type thing. You know what I mean? Like,
where he's also in the middle of the desert, is he not?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
he's going nuts a little bit. Yeah. But then, so I think that would be the biggest part of his role. I think then too, it's equally likely that we will probably get flashbacks, maybe some de-aging going on with Obi-Wan and Anakin, maybe set back in the prequels. Maybe like during the Clone Wars or something. Oh, how cool would that be to get de-aging flashbacks of Obi-Wan and Anakin in their Clone Wars outfits? Like actually oh my God. Okay. That's dream stuff right there. If that happens, that would be crazy. Oh my God. But I think also you have a really, really cool opportunity here to finally do that whole thing of Vader talking to Luke saying, Obi-Wan once thought as you did. When did he do that?
Yeah.
When did that happen? When did they meet? You know what I mean? And he just says, I feel a presence I haven't felt since. And then he just walks away. He doesn't finish that line. So that's, what Christian Harloff and a lot of people, in the Schmodown community and like different YouTubers and Ken Napsok and them, they're all thinking that too, where it's like this show might finally give us a thing where Obi-Wan said, you know what, I can turn him. I know what my mistake was. I can face him. I can do this.
Yeah.
And what if you see Hayden as Anakin this whole show? He gets into a fight with actual Vader at the end of the series, and something happens a la Ahsoka in Twilight of the Apprentice, where the mask pops off, and you finally get Hayden in the full. Because I mean, it makes sense if you're bringing Hayden Christensen back in a series regular role. You can do so much with him. I think that would be like the biggest gut punch in the world, is having Obi-Wan remember all the best parts of Anakin, have that real, like, he was a great warrior and a good friend, like have all of that, have you experience that for the whole show.
Yeah.
And then you have this big climactic fight with Vader at the end, and like something happens where the mask comes off and you see that it's Hayden with the bald and everything. That would it would just be cool. Ridiculous. Yeah, because think about it. What's one of the coolest shots in Rogue One when you see him in the bacta tank and it comes down and you're like, oh, it's not, but I know that's Hayden. Like it's not really him, but I know that would be the face if we were looking at the other angle. I think there is so much cool opportunity for this. If it's just a cameo, it's just a cameo. If he's not even in it, disappointing, but whatever. Yeah. But I mean, if we're getting rumblings of a series regular size role, I mean, that's going to be incredible. That's going to be like so amazing. And like we said, getting an opportunity for these two great actors who are widely remembered, Ewan especially, but also now more so Hayden, widely regarded as, two of the best things to come out of the prequels is those two characters and their interactions. Having a chance to see them in their characters be directed by somebody like Deborah Chow is just going to be so cool. If they, no matter what size the role is. Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts on Hayden showing up in Kenobi? Any wishes for it or anything?
No, but I kind of just echo what you said. Same
Mhm.
thing. I hope it's a bigger role than just like a little cameo.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So that is going to do it for the Hayden Christensen side of things. Then next we have the streaming service Peacock launched this week. And they have a show, I believe it's called Brave New World. And the main character in it is played by Alden Ehrenreich, who obviously was Han Solo in Solo Star Wars story. He opened up in an interview this week saying that he is more than willing to return to the Han character. There's been a lot of momentum similar to what we were talking about with Hayden. Who's Hayden?
Hayden.
Hayden Channing, or what's his name? Channing Tatum. I don't know
Channing
what I'm talking
Tatum,
about. Yeah. I always say Tatum Channing, but that's not his name.
Oh yeah, no.
Anyways, Alden Ehrenreich opened up in this interview clearly, on Twitter and everything, on the 2-year anniversary of Solo 2 months ago. There was a lot of make Solo 2 happen. Now there's even more of it. Now you almost see daily, a couple of days this week, it was trending, was the hashtag make Solo 2 happen. There's really been nonstop talk of a Disney Plus something with Solo since Disney Plus came out, really since Solo came out. There's been like, do we want to see a Han series? Do we want more of like a Beckett series with Woody Harrelson coming back to play him on Disney Plus or something? But now we finally have here somebody asking Alden Ehrenreich straight up, would you return? Have you heard anything? And I do actually want to pull up here. Give me your thoughts on this. And I want to pull up the actual quote here from Alden.
So as far as like Solo 1 goes, I thought it was fine. I mean, obviously I got like the whole reveal at the end. I got that after I watched Clone Wars because I was one of those people that, I mean, it's a spoiler if you haven't seen it already. I think it's been out for like 2-3 years at this point, or 4 maybe. I don't know. When Maul shows up at the end of Solo, I was like, wait a second. I was like, he was dead. But then I watched Clone Wars and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So I don't need to see, like, granted I've only seen Solo that one time in the theater and that's it. I didn't need to see it originally. Like, I didn't need to see a Han Solo backstory. I didn't really care that much. If they make a second one, I'll go see it. I didn't mind him as Han Solo. Granted, it was kind of, it's kind of weird to see him playing that character when, you've grown up watching Harrison Ford play it for however many years. But I thought he was like good in the role. I thought he was good in the movie. I don't think he's like a bad actor or anything. It's one of those things that like I just don't like when they said, like, I think not to throw Kathleen Kennedy under the bus or anything, but I'm pretty sure at one point didn't she say like, well, she said one of the reasons it didn't do as well as they wanted to is because people weren't ready for a Star Wars movie every year or something like that. And it's like, well, didn't you release this like right around when Infinity War was coming out as well?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks after.
Yeah, so
or 3 weeks after. Sorry,
that probably had something to do with it. But also, they're like, not that they're grasping at straws, but it's like we really did not need this movie, in my opinion. Like, how did he make the run in 12 part? Or what is it? What is the quote?
The Kessel Run.
Do I care? No, I really don't. Like, it's a cool little bit of information, but like the movie, I was very on it. I was like, it's fine, but yeah.
So I did pull up the quote, but I just want to say I am almost the complete opposite feelings as TJ on this one. I really thought Solo was going to be a hot turd when it came out. Just with all the behind the scenes stuff. I thought Ron Howard was a great choice to come in and replace Lord and Miller. I just think Ron Howard has a real what do you want to call it? Feel good type sensibility. You know what I mean? Would I have liked to see Lord and Miller's original vision? I think yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But in terms of the release date, though, that was something that Bob Iger did say was on him. That Bob Iger pushed Kathleen Kennedy to release it in May because it had already been delayed. And so it came out it came out 6 months after. Not only did it come out 3 weeks after Endgame, but it came out after Infinity War. It came out 6 months after The Last Jedi. I mean, that's way too close. That's way too close. And reports are that, that Kathy was pushing to have them delay it to December. Because if you look, it's the only Star Wars movie of the modern era that came out in May. It really, I personally
it doesn't feel right. Like, it's not like May is like you're like growing up for summer and the summer blockbusters. Like, it's not, it's
that's what Star Wars used to be, but you can't like come out with the smash hit like Force Awakens and then be like, no, we're gonna go back to May. Even though we broke every single record possible for a December release, we've released every other movie in December. But like, let's just do this one in May for literally no reason. But that was a Iger decision. He owned up to that. He said, maybe that shouldn't have been something that I pushed for, because I think hindsight's 2020. In this case, literally, because in 2020 he said like, I think maybe that was a poor decision on my part. I believe that was in the book, in Iger's book. That he wrote. He opened up about Solo and that he really felt like he kind of a little bit almost like pressured Kathy into releasing it, and probably you should have gone with her judgment on that. But at the same time, you never know. They could have pushed it to December and it could have been just as received just as poorly. But in terms of the actual film, I thought it was going to be really bad. When I saw it, I actually really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Honestly, one of the only things that I did not care for in it was Donald Glover as Lando. I really just thought, and I know we've talked about this before, but just for the listeners, I really thought it was just more of a Billy D. Williams like impersonation that he was trying to do. Whereas I feel like Alden was not trying to do a Harrison Ford impersonation. He was trying to embody Han Solo. And I feel like that succeeded on a much higher level than Donald Glover as Lando. To me, it's like it's kind of like everybody was like, "Oh, Donald Glover should play Lando. That's like such a perfect fit." You know what I mean? And it's kind of what do I want to say? Like, it's kind of like a don't meet your heroes type thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like maybe it's too much of a good thing. Where it's just, to me, it hit as a little bit over the top. But let me go ahead and break down these quotes for you. So this is just a little excerpt from the interview. So take it with a grain of salt, because the first line here is the interviewer says, so, okay, he would return if they found a good fit, but has he heard anything about a sequel to Solo? And he said, no, I don't know anything about that. I mean, I think our movie was kind of the last of the conventional era Star Wars movie release time. So that's probably him talking about May, saying, I think maybe this is the last time they're going to release a Star Wars movie in May. I think they realized it didn't work. So it's kind of a little bit really deflecting on that answer, I would say. And then the next one was, has Alden heard about anything regarding the future about him playing Solo? And this is where the news comes from here, which is that his direct quote is, I have heard some stuff, but nothing concrete like on paper. He said, I had to, for a couple interviews, dust off my old Star Wars answers. So that's something there that, he's saying some way or another, he has heard some things, some rumblings that there might be plans for this in the future. And that lines up with some rumors and stuff that we've been hearing, that in some way or another that his Solo and that whole world is not quite over yet. Do I think that it means Solo 2 is going to happen? I don't think that Solo 2, unfortunately, is in the cards anymore. But what I do think is very much in the cards, and I'll get your opinion on this, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Is I think maybe you reinvent that whole old notion of having like a bounty hunter type movie. Make it like a crew movie, right? Where they got to pull off this job, have Han and Chewie be in that movie as part of like an ensemble. I think to me, that's going to be the best place for his character to live on. And then maybe like I think I've told you before, like maybe just do a Han and Chewie Disney Plus show. You know what I mean? Like just do something. But for me, I think the best place for this to kind of continue is having Han and Chewie come back in like an ensemble movie where they're part of a bigger group. And Han could even be the leader of it. I just think he works best in a bigger group
than like a solo type. Well, okay, that's it. I think, like a show. I think it'd be cool. I think the big question would be, could you tie down all the people you want for a series? Depending how long the series is, I guess. Would you rather see like multiple seasons, or would you rather see like just like 8-10 episodes? That's it.
Honestly, for me, if I could have my cake and eat it too, my perfect thing for this would be keep these guys to movies. I think Alden Ehrenreich deserves another shot at Han on the big screen. I think, like I said, he really had great embodiment with him. What I want to see as a series is I want to see Ray Park, Emilia Clarke, Maul, and Kira series. Yeah, that's what I want to see come out of this. Honestly, even more so than like seeing Alden if I had to pick right now between another movie with Alden as Han Solo or getting like even just one season of the Kira and Maul show, I would go with the Kira and Maul show, because like I just want to know what happened. You know what I mean? Like that's like the movie literally ends on a cliffhanger.
That's true, it does, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you don't know what happens. The next time we see Maul is decades, or like almost a decade later in Rebels. And so clearly how the mighty have fallen from where he is in Solo to where we meet him in Rebels. I'd like to see how that happens. But what do you think? What would you want to see? Would you want to see, the Maul and Kira type situation, or do you want to see another thing, either a Disney Plus show or a movie with Alden?
Yeah, like I think that'd be cool. Like again, like I just said, like depending on what show you wanted to do, you'd have to be like, well, can I get Emilia Clarke for a series? I feel like okay,
we got to remember too, Disney Plus, they're getting everybody from the movies for Marvel and stuff. They're not chinsing out on the budget. So
no, exactly. Because I was like, well, I feel like Emilia Clarke probably, like, after Game of Thrones, she probably, I feel like, wanted to move into more movies. Probably. I mean, the only movie I feel like I've seen that she's done, like, I know she did movies before Game of Thrones and during, but more like the only movie I've seen that she's done was Last Christmas, and I thought she was like good in it. I thought the movie was okay. Like,
don't forget Terminator Jenny Smith.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that one. I haven't seen it. Like, yeah. But no, like I think that'd be cool. Woody Harrelson, I would watch that. Woody Harrelson.
I know. I honestly, I would pick any aspect of Solo, and I would watch it like a 6 to 8 episode Disney Plus show. No matter what aspect you want to go with. Give me a Jon Favreau led Rio Durant origin story. Disney Plus show. You know what I mean? I think Rio was one of the best characters in Solo. Spoiler alert. I think his death was like, I think that was honestly, just real quick on like Solo appreciation talk here. I think the scene where Rio is dying and him and Han are both piloting that like cruiser during the train heist, or not cruiser, but like the like cargo hauler thing or whatever. And Rio's like bleeding out, and like that, just that little performance by Jon Favreau was like, it almost gives the most to Alden to get him to like the Han that we know. You know what I mean? Where it's like sometimes the good people are the ones that die. You know what I mean? And I feel like Han had not really understood that until experiencing Rio's death, because in the short time he was with Beckett and his crew, like obviously him and Rio had the biggest attachment, and then he freaking dies. I just think that's just a fantastic scene.
I gotta watch it again. I haven't watched it since it came out.
Yeah, if you haven't, I mean, it's now, that's another thing too that we should talk about in this. It wasn't really worthy of its own topic, but with Solo on there now every single Star Wars movie is finally on Disney Plus, which is awesome because now you can watch the entire franchise.
This is completely off topic, but they're slowly putting all the X-Men's on there. It seems like. Yeah,
this month they're gonna all the ones that aren't in that HBO deal are gonna be going on there. Okay. It's kind of like I kind of cringe every time. Like just earlier, yes, yeah. Earlier I opened Disney Plus.
I did see that one in theaters when it came out.
Yeah,
I barely remember it. Didn't Oscar Isaac play Apocalypse?
Yeah. What's it called? There's some great Magneto stuff in that movie.
Yeah.
But just real quick, just on the subject, let me just throw this in real quick. Not the right podcast, but whatever.
Tell me what to do. I don't know what to do.
That's just it's just worthy of its own movie. That even though ironically that got cut from the movie, but X-Men talk aside, maybe one day we'll have an entire show dedicated to the Fox X-Men franchise. Who knows? We'll just talk about the franchise that was every single week. God, let's please never get to a point where we're doing that. But yeah, I think awesome. No matter what form it takes, I am in on more Solo. No matter what part of the movie gets extended, or what part they decide to branch off on, I'm here for it.
So basically my final thought I want to say is I'm cool with it as long as it's, at the right time with the right people. And it's not like, we just released the what is it, Old Republic movie. And now Solo 2 is coming out, 4 months later.
Yeah. Give it its time to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now our next segment here, and TJ is laughing because this is something I put in the notes that he did not know about. So one of the things that me and TJ are big fans of is something called the Movie Trivia Schmodown.
Oh,
okay. And that is something, if you don't know, look up it's now the Schmodown Entertainment Network YouTube channel. It's hosted by, mainly Christian Harloff and Mark Ellis. The Schmoes know back in the day. For those who don't know, I've been watching him since I was 10.
I'm still relatively new, so I'm not as versed as you, but I get how the game works, and I watch the show every day and stuff like that. But so like we said, it's a trivia show, and one of the things that they have there is the Star Wars Trivia League. So in honor of Empire Strikes Back's 40th anniversary, and I'll say a couple of these are Schmodown questions. Some of them are ones that I threw in. Okay. But we are going to be going ahead, and because as we've talked about on this podcast, TJ just recently got into movies. So we're going to test his Star Wars knowledge here, specifically of Empire Strikes Back, a movie which he has movie which he has just recently seen. Yeah. So in honor of the 40th anniversary, we're going to go ahead and make TJ sweat a little bit here with some Empire Strikes Back trivia. Are these lowball questions, or are these I really have to
They're
think about
all
it?
Super hard. So let's go ahead. No, they're
medium.
Yeah. Okay. So first one here. Are you ready?
All right.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. I won't go full. Maybe one day we'll do full Schmodown rules with JTE rules and stuff. But I'll give you the time. I'll give you as many repeats. If you really want it, I can come up with some multiple choice on the spot. But for now, we're just going to keep it loose.
Okay.
But depending on how funny this ends up being, we might do this more often. So question number 1 for The Empire Strikes Back. Who composed the soundtrack for The Empire Strikes Back?
John Williams.
Final answer?
Yeah, he did every movie.
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Okay, finish the line.
All right.
Luke, I don't want to lose you to the Emperor the way I lost blank.
Vader.
That's right. There we go. See, you're acing these. You're acing these. Yeah. Okay. How many characters in The Empire Strikes Back lose appendages?
What is is that like lit? Like
Yeah, like limbs.
Limbs. How much time do I get?
You can take your time.
Okay. I think I know, but I don't want to say it because I feel like I'm missing one. Trying to think of like the beginning of the movie. Wait. Okay, I think I got it.
Go.
3.
What are they? Can you name them?
It's the I don't even know what to call it. Like the snow monster, like the abominable
Wampa?
snowman.
The Wampa?
C-3PO and Luke.
That's right. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. One of those
I
loses.
knew C-3PO and Luke, and I was like, there's somebody else. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, that's right. One of those guys loses much more than one appendage, unfortunately. Yeah. full disassembly. So this one's a little bit tougher.
Okay.
We'll see if you're beyond. So far, you're 3 for 3. And
it.
The question didn't even require him to name the 3 people. I just needed the number, but he got the names too. Okay. What was Luke's call sign in the Battle of Hoth? What was his snow speeder's call sign?
No, I don't know if that's it. Is it Rogue 2?
Is that your final answer? Yeah, I'll give you multiple choice.
Okay, multiple choice then.
Okay. Is it A, Gold 1?
Oh, okay.
B, Red Leader? C, Rogue 2? Or D, Rogue Leader?
I'm going to go with Rogue Leader. I'm just going to go
The
with
answer is Rogue Leader. That's right. Boom. He knew it. He had the Rogue. Yeah, he had the Rogue. Yeah, so technically, I mean, canonically, not canonically, but release date order, our first Rogue One was Luke.
Yeah.
Can you name me Rogue 2's famous line that I love saying?
We found them.
I repeat, we found them. I found them. Repeat, I found them.
All right, how many more we got? 1, 2?
We got 2 more here. Okay. 2 more.
All right.
You're 4 for 4 here. And I'm not even going to take any credit away for that multiple choice because you had Rogue. Yeah. And you weren't even firm on the 2, so I'll give you that. Okay, here we go. What creatures toss around 3PO's head on Cloud City?
Oh, Ugnaughts? Is that how you pronounce it?
That's right. All right, and then the last question. He's 5 for 5, folks. Who has the first spoken line of dialogue in the film?
Spoken line of dialogue. Is it spoken line of dialogue? Is it Han?
Is that your final answer?
I have multiple choice or no?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much it's going to help, but okay, let's do multiple choice. Let's put it at A, Luke Skywalker, B, Leia Organa, C, C-3PO, D, Chewbacca.
I'm just going to... Oh, it's not Han. I'm thinking of the opening scene. So they launch the they launch the droids and they hit the snow, and it's got to be Luke. I'm going.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Yes, it is Luke.
Okay.
Yeah. Luke's first line is to call into Han, and then Han speaks right after him. But
I thought he called him for some reason. That Han was like,
no, because he says, I found nothing on my patrol, or no life signs on my patrol, and then Han has the line of.
Okay. I also thought Luke was too easy of an answer.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, whew, 6 for 6, boom! Look at that,
6 for 6. Yeah, 6 for 6. All right. Okay, so with that, that'll do it for the first half of the show here. We will be right back in just a moment. All right, welcome back to the Planet Council podcast. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Our main topic today is going to be, obviously, we didn't touch on in the news topic because we're saving it for our main story today, which is the Bad Batch. We finally have official Lucasfilm confirmation that the Star Wars: The Bad Batch is the latest endeavor by Lucasfilm Animation. It's going to be executive produced and most likely showrun by Dave Filoni. And it is going to be a direct continuation of the Bad Batch storyline from Clone Wars Season 7. So this is going to be, the brief synopsis basically is it's going to be them trying to adapt to the new Imperial-run galaxy. It says trying to follow them adapting in a rapidly changing galaxy. And so they'll be doing, mercenary missions and stuff like that, basically. And like I said, executive produced by Dave Filoni, written by Dave Filoni. You would presume show run by Dave Filoni, but he's a busy guy. We did not get official confirmation that he's the showrunner. So maybe this is, let's actually start off with that. Before we get to our first question for this, just off the cuff here, would you want to, so we already know it's going to be mainly written by Dave and executive produced by him. Do you want to see him return as showrunner, or do you want to see him bring up a Logitech, man? Gotta love it. Do you want to see him bring up maybe an up-and-coming person to showrun, maybe to form the next Dave Filoni? You know what I mean? Do you want to see him just hold the reins for all this stuff? Or do you want to see him maybe shepherding a new generation of himself and see him just keep moving up the ladder at Lucasfilm?
What's his role? Like, what is his title? Do you know?
Like at Lucasfilm?
Yeah, like
I think he's the head of Lucasfilm Animation. Okay. And he's just executive producer and stuff. But in terms of the actual company, he's just the head of Lucasfilm Animation.
I think I'd just like to see him just do it because
just showrun it. You mean?
Not that he wouldn't like direct somebody in the correct way. Like if he wanted to bring in somebody to like teach him how he does what he does and how he works his magic. Not that like he wouldn't like if they're doing something like that's clearly not going the correct direction. Not that he wouldn't be like, okay, how about we do this?
Yeah, like let's pull it back a little bit.
Yeah. I think he's just like, he's like one of those people. He's like one person in the entire like Star Wars community that fans like, I feel like love no matter what, unless, you don't like certain characters that he's, brought into the fold. So in my personal opinion, I think I'd just like to see him do it. Maybe like in a later,
just kind of not rock the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because Star Wars, like I swear it's like ping pong. It's like they release something good, and then immediately after they release something not great, and then it just goes back and forth all the time.
Like Bad Batch, Trace and Rafa.
Yeah.
Siege of Mandalore.
Now, granted, that like he does have some misses like with that arc. That arc just like it wasn't bad. It just wasn't it like that. Especially that one episode.
Should have called that one the Bad Batch.
Yeah, exactly.
Ew.
Especially that one episode where they just end up back where they were at the beginning, which
That's maybe the worst episode of television I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
That's like literally, for those who don't know, we're talking about, I think it's the dead center episode of the Trace and Rafa arc, which also the dead center episode of season 7. Ahsoka, Trace, and Rafa start the episode in a cell. They break out for about 20 minutes, run around the facility, and then they end up locked back in the cell by the end of the episode with literally nothing happening. Yeah. Literally nothing happens.
But I feel like he should probably just take it because I'm assuming he created these characters. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it just only makes sense. If he could open up every episode of this with how they opened up the 7th season, just with that, just like Star Wars Bad Batch.
Oh yeah.
Name. That's it. Like, oh my God, that was great when they did that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's that. I think you should just keep it. Like, just keep it going. Don't rock the boat too much.
Yeah. So with that, let's go ahead and get right into our first topic for the Bad Batch, which is we're gonna, believe me, guys, we are gonna get heavy into some speculation, some wishful thinking, some hopes and dreams for this show. But we're gonna start off calmly with, what do you realistically think we're going to see from this show? What do you think Lucasfilm has planned for us? What do you really think that the story is going to be about?
I think it'll just be I think it'll be, I guess not. I was going to say, I think it'll be everything you've seen before their episodes in season 7, but I actually don't. I think it'll be everything after Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they said it's going to be after.
Oh, they did that? Oh, okay.
It's post Order 66.
I guess it would just be like how they're, like what they're doing, where they are, how they're surviving. Mm-hmm. Do they link up with, Rex at some point and Ahsoka? Do they, like, what? Like, it's not like they're doing any, because it's almost, I almost wonder, like, if they're cut off from everybody. I'm assuming maybe like they won't be with the other clones. Like, do they even know? Like, how do they find out? Because I'm assuming they don't have chips. Obviously not. I feel like, but yeah.
That's what I would assume. That they weren't affected by orders. And by the way, guys, this is full spoilers for Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Clone Wars Season 7. I would assume that they don't have chips because they were like kind of cast off. So I don't really know. And then obviously the other aspect of this is obviously in this show now we're going to have Echo as part of this show. Because for those who are staying for the spoilers but didn't watch season 7, the whole Bad Batch arc was them rescuing Echo, who was a clone who we thought died seasons back. Maybe season 4, I think, is when we thought that Echo died at the Citadel. It turns out they did not. He was being kept alive by Wat Tambor to get the information on the clones' tactics and stuff. But he was rescued by Rex and Anakin and went with the Bad Batch to continue working with them throughout the galaxy.
After their arc, where were they going? Weren't they going on like another mission or something? Did they ever say?
I don't know. They didn't say, but what I was saying with Echo was because of what happened to him, he is like part cyborg basically now. Yeah. One would also assume, one would mostly assume that his chip is no longer functioning. So most likely the entire Bad Batch did not carry out Order 66. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the speculation after this. Let's go with what story elements we want to see from this show. And we can have more than one. I'll start out with my first one. What I want to see most from this show is I want to see, we've heard in books especially, comics especially the Darth Vader comic, which is exactly when this show is set, basically, is the I think it was the second run of Darth Vader comics. So when they reset in 2019, I think, with Darth Vader issue 1 again, that was basically, okay, Anakin gets suited up. What happens next? Like that was basically that comic, and it dealt with a lot. That was where he hunted down Jocasta Nu, the old lady, the Jedi librarian. Yeah, great comic with Jocasta Nu, freaking badass. Him looking for sensitive children, but a lot of that comic, a lot of that comic has to do with his relationship with the clones, with the transformation of the 501st into Vader's fist, which is what the 501st became in the Empire. I want to see that from the clones' perspective, from the Bad Batch's perspective. Because for those who don't know, again, for season 7, the Bad Batch calls Rex and them, Rex is kind of a different story because by the end, they're very good friends and everything, and they respect each other. But at the beginning, they call all the other clones Regs. So they very much, the Bad Batch very much, and you'd have to assume Echo kind of adopts that as well. That's why you want to go with them, is that they very much see themselves as completely different than every other clone. Like, it's not one of those things, they don't have the brotherhood connection that the other clones share, that Rex shares. Obviously Echo does somewhat because he's kind of walked in both styles of life. But so it'd be very interesting because the other clones, some of them kind of just fall in line with Vader because they're like, we don't know what the hell's going on. Like, this is just what's going on now. And one would assume that the Bad Batch would not. So that's kind of why, and they say right in the synopsis that they're doing like mercenary work and like odd jobs and stuff. So it seems like they are not folding into the Empire.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, so that's my first thing. We'll go to you next for what is a story element you want to see. But that's my main thing. I want to see the transition of the clones from the clones that we know and love as the good guys to what they become, basically, and how maybe some of them get phased out, how they get retired, that whole thing. I want to see that, and maybe long term for the entire show. Maybe we see, it kind of in the peripheral, maybe not what the show's about, but maybe we see the full transition from clones to stormtroopers. You know what I mean? That's the first thing that I mainly want to see. What about you?
Well, first, did they ever tell you like why they're the way they are? Like, they're just like mistake. They just kind of got messed up.
Yeah, it might have been something. Yeah. I can't remember right now the actual line, but it might have been something to do with how towards the end of it, Jango Fett's DNA was getting strained, basically. Oh yeah. Because like there wasn't enough of it. Like it might have been because of that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, that would be really cool to see how the clones get phased out, retired, or the whole stormtrooper and how they, kind of move.
How those two worlds mesh. Yeah,
exactly. I just kind of want to see like what are they up to? Like, I just want to see like almost like immediately after, like if it's like a memory or something, if it's like immediately after like the whole Order 66, like we were talking about, like how they find out, where do we go from here? Are there clones that, were like us that didn't, I mean, they probably know that nobody else is like them, I'm assuming, that they're unique. But like how, just like what is going through their mind when all this stuff is happening and they're like, okay, like why is this happening to us? Like, where do we go from here? Who can we contact to, maybe
help us or something?
Help us. Yeah. It's like, well, let's contact. I mean, they wouldn't know that Anakin is not Anakin, like he's Darth Vader. But like, if like, oh, like who's on that mission?
That would be a really cool. It was just.
It was just Anakin.
It was just them, Anakin, and Rex. Yeah, and
okay. So they don't
Echo.
even like go Ahsoka or Obi-Wan or most likely.
No. Obi-Wan was with them at the base. Remember, because that was where the came from. Yeah,
right.
With Obi-Wan throwing up the hand there. No, so Obi-Wan met them, but he wasn't on the mission with them.
Yeah, so maybe they try to get in contact with him, or
I think that would be a really cool.
I think we'll see them come back. Like, I think you could see like Ahsoka in the series again and everything.
Oh yeah, I think so. Let's move on to let's just kind of mix them together. Because we were gonna do this as two separate things, but you really can't do one without the other. So the next thing we were going to talk about was legacy characters that we want to see or think we might see pop up in this. So obviously number one would be Rex. Number one would be you would assume Rex. Obviously they build them. I mean, yes, obviously they build a great connection with Anakin, but the connection that the Bad Batch and Rex build throughout that whole arc is what kind of the arc is entirely about. Kind of slowly and really, honestly, I think Rex's interaction with the Bad Batch had more of a lasting impact on Rex than I think he realizes. That's when the beginning of this season, kind of one of the subtle things that really kind of set Rex apart from Rex in the rest of Clone Wars was him dealing with the Bad Batch, and when he's like kind of yelling at them, and he has that one moment where he kind of like freaks out because the whole arc, Rex is like, Echo is alive, like I can feel it, like I know somehow he's alive, and they're like, dude, you gotta give up this thing. Like that's the first time where Rex, he like rips off his helmet and like whips it at him, and like Rex takes his helmet off like 5 times in that arc. And in the end, in the Siege of Mandalore, when Ahsoka takes Rex's helmet off and he's crying, I think that moment would not have been earned if he didn't have that interaction with the Bad Batch, learning to take it off and be personal, look him eye in the eye. Yeah. Because aside from Wrecker's really the only clone that like wears his helmet a lot. But like they don't really, when they're just walking around, like they don't really wear their helmets. So I think they had kind of a lasting impression on Rex, maybe more than even Rex realizes. So I think it would be very interesting to see them link up at some point. Because obviously after Siege of Mandalore, the next time we see Rex isn't for another 15 years. Actually, maybe even like 17 years. So there's a lot of time with Rex that we don't know.
Like maybe they help them build the that walker that you see in Rebels or something.
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking too, the walker, but the actual team in the walker we see, maybe this show will show us how Gregor survived. You know what I mean? Because Gregor's one that, when you last saw him in Clone Wars, you thought he was a goner. The episode ends with him in a massive shootout, just shooting everything he can. And then he just pops up in Rebels and he's like, hey, like, and you're like, I thought you were dead. Like maybe this shows where Gregor went or how Gregor survived. Maybe we see the full trio form up. Maybe we see Wolf, Gregor, and Rex, team up in this show and then kind of go off into the sunset with each other. I don't know. That's another person, honestly, who I'd want to see is I would want to see Wolf in this show to find out how Wolf went from, because Wolf is obviously, for those who don't know, he's the clone commando of Plo Koon's unit. Wolf was not the one who killed Plo Koon. It was the pilot. I forget his name. He has a name. He was in Clone Wars, but it was the pilot in the Wolf pack that killed Plo Koon. So we don't know if Wolf has killed a Jedi or what, but obviously he went through with Order 66 because his chip wasn't removed. But we don't know like if he actually killed any Jedi. But yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like clones aside, I think you could definitely see an Ahsoka pop up. I would want to see one of my favorite Star Wars characters. Well, actually, 2 of my favorite Star Wars characters, 2 of the best dads in the galaxy. Give me some Bail Organa. Give me some Cham Syndulla. You know what I mean? Give me some Cham in this.
Remind me who that is, because I don't know. I don't.
Hera's dad, the orange Twi'lek from Clone Wars and Rebels. Okay. Great character. Not enough Cham in Star Wars. But yeah, I think anyone in that period, really any prequel character, I think is going to be a great fit for this. But at the same time, I don't want it to feel like Clone Wars. I want, like, if we see Bail Organa, give me a grief-stricken Bail who is still cut up about Padme. You know what I mean? Like, give me something like that. I think that would be so cool.
I think we talked about this on the Planet Film podcast, but I'll just bring it up again. Yeah. What did you say about the animation? You wanted to see the same animation, or you didn't want to see the same animation? Yeah,
so let's talk about that. So Clone Wars obviously has like the blocky 3-dimensional one. Rebels is much more like a smooth, simple style. And then Resistance was like a 2D, 3D hybrid type thing. I would kind of want to see a mix of Rebels and Clone Wars. Like, I don't want it to be exactly like Clone Wars, but I also don't want it to be like Rebels, if that makes sense. Like, I want it to be just enough different from Clone Wars to basically stand out on its own, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think.
What do you think?
I would just want to stick with the Clone Wars animation style, just like I said, because I said on the Planet Film podcast, I think, is that's where the show is coming from, is that show. So I feel like it would just feel kind of weird if it wasn't the same animation style. Then again, like, but I like both styles. Like, I liked the Rebel style, and other than like I said before, the lightsaber thing, I wasn't a fan of like the whole thin lightsaber. You said you love the thin lightsaber.
I love the thin lightsaber. I mean, it's a weird thing, but I love it. Yeah.
So like if they wanted to do the Rebels one, or like you said, a little mix of both, that'd be cool. But I think I'd be happiest with like the one that was in the show.
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that makes me lean towards probably the realistic fact that they're probably just going to stick with the exact same Clone Wars one is because it's a show about clones. You know what I mean? You don't want to have a show that basically had a backdoor pilot in another show come back with a completely different animation style. You know what I mean? If they were like it would be a little weird, because let's face it, now we know the Bad Batch arc was basically a backdoor pilot for this show. It'd be a little weird if they were like, and it's going to be a 2D show on Star Wars Kids YouTube channel. You know what I mean? You'd be like, what? And also the fact that the logo is almost identical to the Clone Wars one. Not in the color scheme, but in the font and the styling and everything. It's just very, very similar. It's evoking everything the same as Clone Wars. So most likely it's probably just going to be exactly like Clone Wars, which I am also fine with. Just personally, I would like to see a little bit of a hybrid blend. But I'm fine with whatever they do. I would love to see them interact with Vader. Maybe they try to reach out to Anakin, and maybe they realize that was not a good idea. You know what I mean? Like, also, I would like to see, character-wise, do these guys want to hunt down Jedi, or do they want to work with Jedi? You know what I mean? Like, for the Jedi that are still scattered across the galaxy, that's what I would love too. Jedi that we know that we don't know what happened to them yet, I would love to see. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see Jedi in hiding in this show. You know, like fully, like storylines and stuff with that. Maybe they go to Tatooine. Maybe we get Obi-Wan. You know what I mean? Maybe we get James Arnold Taylor back. Maybe this show connects to Kenobi. Anything can happen. You know what I mean? It's like we're dealing in that same time period, so it's possible. I don't know. What do you think? What are some, before we wrap up here, what are some final things that you want to see from this show that maybe we haven't touched on or discussed yet?
Like I said, it's basically like the same thing we've been saying. I think it'd be kind of cool if we saw like a few flashbacks to what was happening before their arc in season 7. Not like, you don't have to make it like half the season. But just like little little spots and episodes. I guess
Mhm.
depending on the episode length. Like, do you think the episodes would be the same length as like, I mean, season 7? How long was it? Like 22 minutes? They weren't even that long.
Yeah, it was like some of season 7 was longer than usual, but some of it was shorter than usual. Like,
I remember like
was,
when it would come out, you'd be like, "Oh, did you see the length on this one?" Or same with Mandalorian. It was like it's not even like close to 45. It's like 25 or something.
Yeah, so let's talk. Okay, so let's talk that now.
Okay.
To wrap up today, let's talk. Oh, sorry. Okay, we just got some news for Planet Film show the other day. Sorry, I just checked my phone. My Twitter was blowing up there. Let's talk the Disney Plus side of this. So, or the actual functionality of the show. Let's say that. Do you think this is going to be something with arcs, or do you think this is going to be a more typical show?
I want to say it will not a more typical show because you don't have as many characters.
Okay. So because it's more, because like Clone Wars, obviously it was like Anakin's on this side of the galaxy, Obi-Wan's over there. We gotta split it up. But because we're following kind of a central group, you think it's just going to be one straightforward storyline. Yes. Gotcha. I agree. I will say I think I agree.
Depending on like the characters you see. Like if you had like no, I take that back. No. Even if you see like Ahsoka or something, like maybe she'll be in there for like a season, like a few episodes, and then she'll just go off. Like I don't think they'd follow her because it's not called like the Bad Batch and Ahsoka. It's called the Bad Batch.
Exactly. Yeah. I think they're going to be the 5 of them are going to be the main focus. Actually, before we get more into that, the function of the show, one thing I do want to say is I do kind of want to see the Bad Batch characters change a little bit. Obviously it was a backdoor pilot, but like just for example, I mean, they're all a little over the top. So I think you need to kind of subdue all of their personalities. But like, for example, like Wrecker, you can't have that guy as 1/5 of a show. You know what I mean? Where he's just like, well, you know what I mean? Like that's basically that's what he was like. You know what I mean? Like you have to make him more relatable. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you can't have him just be like an idiot all the time. So that's just what I wanted to say about one more thing about the actual story. It's just, I think you need to subdue their personalities a little bit to make them more relatable. But another thing in terms of function. So this is going to be a Disney Plus show, obviously. Do you think like Rebels and Clone Wars, we're going to be seeing 24 and 26 episode seasons like normal? Or do you think because this is Disney Plus, is this going to be a much shorter show?
I think maybe they'll do shortened seasons, but more of them.
More of them. So it might be one of those things where maybe the season is 14 episodes long, but maybe you get 2 seasons a year type thing. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing where it's like fall and a spring season.
Yeah,
so, you know what I mean?
Like that would be really pushing it, like asking for 2 seasons a year.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be like 24 like they were. I feel like, no. I don't really have like a reason for that. I just don't think that's how it's going to be.
Like, well, I think it's just because
has been short.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's been so far, the longest Disney Plus show, I'm pretty sure, has been the Jeff Goldblum one, which was like 12 episodes. And that's been the longest.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think that they're looking to do like a 24, especially because all their stuff drops weekly. Like to have a show for 24 weeks, come out one a week on the streaming service, that would be like, that'd be like crazy. Or maybe another thing that they could do, maybe because Clone Wars was very arc based. Rebels was more straightforward, but Rebels had a ton of 2-parters. Maybe what you do for this show is you do the 2-parters, and I know it's not technically, but maybe just every week you release 2 episodes. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's what you do. You just release 2-parters. That way the show only runs for like 12 weeks, but you get 2 episodes each week. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Or you just make the episodes longer and you still do 12 episodes. That's the alternative too. I don't know. I think it'll be really interesting to see the way that they go with this, because it's kind of the first, how do I want to say? It's kind of like the first show that we have multiple examples of the cable version of it moving to Disney Plus. You know what I mean? Because it's like some of the other things like Shop Class and like reality show competition stuff. Like you can see like Chopped has like 30 episodes a season, but like that Shop Class show only had 10. Yeah. So it's like even that they cut down on. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes with that. But do you have anything else that you want to talk about in terms of the Bad Batch or anything?
No, I think we had a pretty good like in-depth like the thoughts of what we'd like to see in characters and what we think will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I'm pretty sure that will do it this week for this installment of the Planet Council podcast. Once again, as always, my name is Sean Monk.
And I'm TJ Cordwell.
Remember, the Force will be with you always.